So we are doing a casual interview with Chris Payur. Is that how you say your last name?
I do, thank you.
And the idea behind this is just that, in the Austin music scene, there are so many great people working behind the scenes. They're at every festival, every venue. Who are they? We should find out some more about them and give them a chance to talk. Question that both Melissa and I had was, how did you become interested in sound engineering in your childhood? Were there any clues that you would spend your adult life in the music industry?
Oh, that is a great loaded question. They say that you know what your children are going to be when they're 7. My friend's mother pointed that out, that her daughter had always played with plants and everything, and she became a biology teacher. I was like, oh, what was I doing? My dad gave me a transistor radio when I was 7, and I would sit there and take it apart and put it back together.
Oh, how cute. That's awesome.
And so now I'm doing the same thing, just with bigger PAs.
Yeah.
But I was always, we had a grand piano in my parents' house, and I was always, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially as a female, I was so drawn toward it. I would just take it back apart as far as I could.
Right,
put it back together. It was, yeah, anyway.
That's cool.
I had a burning desire to be, when I was young, they started the music classes in the 4th grade. And then I moved to a new school, and they had started them in the 3rd. And my 2 best friends played flute and clarinet, and I taught myself their instruments and begged them to let me audition and to test them, and they wouldn't let me. So there were, like you said, there were all these hints where I didn't realize it's been there all along. Yeah. And then it took till I was in college studying chiropractics and going, I can't work in an office, to start exploring music, and then it just, this is my unrequited.
Yeah.
But I think it's been there all along. I should have been a musician, but I love being a sound engineer.
That's the thing that I was thinking about that would be interesting to people with talking to you, is that a lot of people, they want to be near sound or they want to be part of the music, but sometimes being a performer is like not the ideal thing, and helping produce shows or helping do the editing.
Well, there's just so many roles to be filled.
Yeah.
There are.
We can't cut together, get this going unless a team is on it. Or otherwise you're just a party of one.
Well, and not everybody's drawn to it, or they don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny, after I became a sound engineer, my friends asked me to be in a band, and I had one performance, and I wanted to bury my head in the dirt afterwards. I was just like, I could not stand being on stage.
Yeah.
I hid behind the stacks the whole time.
Yeah.
But as a sound engineer, and I love it. I feel like it's an exciting way to. It's integral. It's important, and it's really cool. I don't have to be in the limelight, but I know that it's one of the most important roles.
Oh yeah.
So
you're probably
it's fun and cool.
Yeah.
You're listening more than some of the people that are actually playing.
That's right. Listening differently. People are always like, "Oh, can you believe the words of that song?" I'm like, "No, I had to listen to frequencies."
Yeah.
It's such a different skill set.
Some of your other hobbies or other areas of expertise, like I think you do like leather crafting.
I do everything. I got into silversmithing when I was younger.
Okay.
So that was one of my COVID projects. I do all the crafty things, but I do make leather bags too.
Okay.
I started making things. I'm really, both leather and jewelry. I was inspired by the Coptic art. Our jewelry and leather are all the textiles and designs from Northern Africa. And at the time, I couldn't find them except for once in a while in an import shop, but Texas doesn't have a lot of import shops.
Oh, yeah.
So I started making them. They were my inspiration.
That's amazing.
So fun.
Do you have a collection of like stamps and things for your leather work that you use that's your sort of like your collection that it's your work if
I should. I started kind of marking them, but I'm so ghetto about it. I was like, oh, I want it to just look raw, so I like carve my thing. But I do. I knit and crochet and draw and No, hopefully soon I'll add painting to that. I have a bunch of friends gave me canvases, but I'm just crafty.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's I do bead work.
I think that's like great for people to know, just because when you encounter your sound person, like they're a real person. They have another life.
They have a complex
Right.
set of things going on.
Yeah.
They don't just exist here in this moment.
Right. Yeah, I'm an avid reader. I write in my journal. I ride my bike all the time.
Oh, what's your favorite bike trail in Austin?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, so I live really close to Town Lake. So it
Popular.
really is my
Popular.
favorite. But I go during the day, or I go at dusk. Like sometimes I'll catch a little bit of the sunset, but I live just east of the freeway, like 4 blocks from the lake. So I'll ride down to Pleasant Valley, and then I come up the boardwalk, and it's so cool because the sunset is reflecting off the buildings and the water.
Oh, nice.
So then I do that, and then during COVID, I used to just do the boardwalk and then come back and cross at 35. But now I ride all the way down to past the Long Center, and I go in and out of the pole. Like I make it this it's so
That's
Willy
awesome.
Wonka Pee Herman, like do 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 do. I go in and out of all the poles, and I go up Doug Somm Hill, and I come back and I tool my way down. But I discovered that during another one of them. There have been many pandemic blessings, and that was one of them.
So where did you? Were you all kind of learning by experience, or there's a specific person you studied with, or something like that you would say was the main guidance?
I lucked out. I actually went to sound school, and
Okay.
all my sound engineers friends gave me so much shit. They were just like, "Why are you going to school for this? You can teach yourself."
Which school was it?
I actually, I'm going to make your story long. You can edit it out. I started at Houston Community College.
Oh, okay.
And I went for recording, and I ignored all the live sound classes, or questions, because there were band members in there that asked all these questions about live sound, and I just kind of tuned out and studied, and never thought it would be my life.
Yeah.
So I looked out, and I had this window of time where my instructor went on to start the program at Southwest, I still call it
Texas
Southwest.
State?
At Texas State.
Okay.
Mark Erickson started that program, which now you have to audition into. So I got in for 2 years at a community college, and I got grants for it. I so lucked out, and it was a great education. But when I came out, I knew I just went to do live sound to get fast at dialing in compressors and gates, because in class we'd sit there and it'd take a half an hour. We'd listen for pumping and breathing and things. So I just wanted to get really fast, and I'd been bartending my way through school at Emos. So I went to the Emos guys and said that I would lug gear for them to teach me. I had a couple. My first 2 experiences in live were just disastrous. Because here you are in a studio, you've got all this nice panel, you've got even ISO boosts, and everybody was like, "Oh, you know what you're doing? You got straight A's. It's the same." It is so not the same.
Yeah.
In live sound, you've got all the open mics, no baffling, stage volume, monitors everywhere. It was a disaster. I even stopped doing it for a minute. And then I went back to the Emos guys, and I was like, you know what? I want to learn every single thing about this.
Yeah.
And it was great because at the time, 2 guys owned the PA there. It was Jim Barry and Brad First. And it was the perfect education because it wasn't a perfect situation. It was emo, so it was kind of crusty. And they kept it very well maintained, but it was punk rock. It got beer spilled in it, so there were a lot of problems. So I learned a lot of troubleshooting.
Yeah.
But Jim was very technical, and Brad was very intuitive. So I learned to engage both sides of my brain for mixing, and I think it served me so well. And they wouldn't let me go on the road before I was ready. They insisted, and then when I was not quite ready, they both took a tour and threw me in charge, and I was just like, no, and they were like, bye. And
What year would you say that was?
That was around 92 or 93.
Okay.
And they were just like,
Yeah.
it's all you.
Yeah.
And then I was lucky enough, ACC, because studio and live are so different, ACC had me write the live sound program.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
And what year was that?
Oh, that was mid to late 2000s because I was still in the parish.
Oh, okay.
We started it at Riverbend Church, and then I moved it to the parish, and I taught it there. And then they moved it up to ACC, but it was too early in the morning for me.
Yeah.
to do
I think the great thing about ACC is that there's so many people teaching there that have real experience.
Oh,
like very well educated people who also perform live everywhere. Like they have the real information for you.
It's such a good program. I was so honored that they asked me to do it, but the quality, I mean, it's taken on a life of its own. I mean, they just, with their new facility, just bought a top of the line PA and, you know, the most cutting edge technology, and it's, and they've always had a great attitude and really been for the students. A great example, one year, my friend had to drop out of his internship because he took the Warped Tour, and there was no way he was going to back that, you know, not take that, not accept that.
Credit.
And that's what they did. They worked with him, and they were like, well, that's the best internship on the planet, just write about it. So I thought that was kind of the attitude at the time, you know, they'll work with students, and they really want to get students working. They're not just trying to make money but that goodness kind of feeds itself, and the rewards come back. And now look at what they're doing. I mean, I haven't been up there yet, but I've heard amazing things.
Yeah, so I asked, what are the best DI boxes for the stage in your opinion, or what are the ones that you use most frequently because they're there?
You know, it's funny when people ask me what to buy. I'm like, just buy the $40 imp, the IMP, the little black direct box. It's a parallel input, so you can put it in either hole and it'll work. You can actually put in 2 instruments in each, and it will, like if you were in a pinch, like you played a solo gig or something, you can plug in, for example, a keyboard and a guitar, and it'll pass both as signal.
Nice.
But you know, most common are radials, the green box covered in tape that you talked about. They're great. They're a little pricier. A lot of people really like the Red Eyes.
Yeah.
They're locally made. But yeah, the imps, you know, it's funny because some people are just like, they see them, they're just like, no.
Yeah.
And you know what? They're tough. They're indestructible. If they break, you can just take them apart and you can solder them yourself, even if you don't know what you're doing. Like, they don't break very often though. And you can use them as a shim. If your monitor isn't aimed quite right, you can shim the monitor up and you get it aimed at you. They're like little bricks. They serve so many purposes, and they're really like $40 on eBay or something.
Yeah.
So that's what I would carry in my bag.
Totally.
I actually bought one.
Oh, okay. Well, as a sound engineer, in terms of an advice to musicians, like what is something that you might suggest that people carry in their just-in-case bag when they're out playing shows? Or if you don't have an answer to that, what is something that you carry as a just-in-case? Like, for example, a lot of people carry ground lift adapter or something like that.
Well, I unfortunately see too many people showing up without their instrument cables. And that is something that, just simply that, bring your own cables and test them before you leave the house.
Yes.
I'm always shocked that people show up and they're like, I don't have a cable. I'm like, I don't either. We get to the direct box or the mic, and that's as far as we go.
Right.
So, or people show up and they've got, you know, a wad, you know, they bring a duffel bag and they've got a wad of 1/4 inches and they don't know if any of them work, and most of them don't.
Yeah.
So just taking the time to make sure your cables work. Because quite often, I mean, many of us are good at, or many sound engineers are good at troubleshooting, but many aren't. If you get a beginner, we start chasing through the PA looking for a buzz, and it's simply the 1/4 inch.
Yeah.
So now,
plugged into the wrong hole.
Right. Yeah. So you guys can know also that if you hear a buzz, the first thing that you should do is swap out the 1/4 inch.
Yeah.
But I see people at the end of the night, they just wad them up and throw them in their bag, and that also crimps them and makes them break.
I used to do that. Yep. I'm tired.
Guilty. But you know what? There's a zen. Like, my favorite part of the night after the performance is sitting there wrapping cables.
I do notice that a lot of the great engineers, they're just like, oh, look at this.
And there's a certain way we do it. It's
Yeah.
So it's something that, I will even sit there and help musicians break down. I'll be like, oh, come on, let me help you. And you have a little conversation, and then I know that they're going to last longer. But yes, people show up without cables, and they show up with broken cables. So it's worth a little prep time. And can I go on a little bit of a tangent
Oh
about
yeah,
that?
totally.
That's what we're here for.
Because I think this is the most time consuming. Okay, two things. Sound check is not a rehearsal time.
Mm-hmm.
That is, sound engineers, even if you have all the time in the world, we get ear fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
So if we've done a really long sound check and we don't have time to eat or get coffee and rest our ears because we're there all night, sometimes it's 3 to 5 bands, we have to walk out of the room.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get fed. We have to get caffeinated. If you drink, most of us do drink coffee because it's a long night.
That's right.
But we have to rest our ears. And a lot of people show up, and I understand musicians are nervous, but it's not a rehearsal space. It's a time to make sure everything is coming through the console properly, cleanly, get your monitors set, and then for everybody to go decompress and come back at their ultimate. And people too often don't realize that.
Yeah.
But the thing I was going to say on that note, which ties into both of our last two topics, is that people come in, they buy effects boxes, and they don't figure out how to use them at home.
Oh yeah.
So they come in with like vocal effects, and then they plug them in, and they're like, oh, I bought this last night, I thought I'd try it out, and it's some sold out show.
Yeah.
So it's feeding back, it's doing all these, they sound awful if you don't dial them in, especially, again, because people are buying cheap ones instead of really nice ones, they don't sound good. And if the musician takes a little time to dial it in, maybe EQ it, but they'll sit there and try to figure it out, which eats up sound check time, or it just sounds awful. And there's
I was going to ask if you could demystify miking drum kits for us. Is that possible in a few minutes?
Yes. How so?
Without a kit? I don't know. Just for,
The most basic way.
I guess the most basic way, because I don't really know. I went to school and they taught me there. So like, I guess it's a little
I'll just give you the super quick. I'll give you the drum mic technique for dummies. With the snare, I always mic it toward. Personally, I came up mixing a lot of punk rock at emos, so I always wanted to get more attack out of it. Mm-hmm. So I always aim the mic at the center of the head, where you're going to hear where the smack is happening. Mm-hmm. So I always wanted to get some more of that. And then the toms, 45-degree angle, about an inch in. And then the drum, or the kick drum, just right inside the hole. Mm-hmm. Or, a couple inches if there's no drum head. If there's a hole, right inside the hole. If there's no hole, a few inches from the front head. Mm-hmm. And if there's a drum head without a hole, kind of in the like a quarter from the rim, off center usually. But somebody taught me a really cool trick too, that you hold a dollar bill up, and it's something about, I don't know what it is. You hold a dollar bill up to find the sweet spot, and you kick on it, and wherever the dollar bill sucks to the head is the sweet spot.
Oh, interesting.
I want to.
I should have said that for the drum.
Oh my gosh! I wish we
that will be like
the see this happen.
Instablip tip. Instablip tip. Do you have a proudest moment behind the board at work? It could be, I guess, like you saved a disaster, or you just were happy with it. I don't know.
Oh, I do actually. I was thinking I don't, because I've been fortunate to have so many wonderful moments. Yeah. I mean, there are far too many to list.
Right.
I mean, but okay. So one year I was working the Mercury, and Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine came in. It was during South by, and I was like, everybody was there. I see Slash walk in. I see Perry Farrell, and I tell my son, I'm like, I could have bet anyone an easy $10 million I'd never mix Slash, and I was like, what? So all these rock stars walk in, and everyone thinks it's a Rage Against the Machine reunion. So then the expectations were super
Yeah.
high. So it was an all-star band. They weren't actually there just to support him. They were all playing.
What?
So I mixed Wayne Kramer
out
from
that night?
MC5.
What?
I found out when they walked on stage.
Oh,
Wayne Kramer from MC5 slash Perry Farrell, Tom Morello, and I'm just like, what is going on? And then one of the bands I've seen most in my life is Jane's Addiction.
Yeah.
So they play Coming Down the Mountain,
Oh my
and I'm just like, I know every nuance to that song.
Uh-huh.
I've seen them so many times. I wore that record out, so I like know every single delay.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm just, and I'm having a blast, and it's just unreal. And I turn around, and I'm like, this guy's just like, man, you nailed that. And I'm like, you don't know how many times I've listened to it. He's like, no, you don't understand. I'm their sound guy, and I came back to mix it, but you got it so dialed in that I just let you do your thing.
Wow!
So-
Oh my
I thanks for that memory. I always forget about those things.
That's
so.
great.
Awesome. That is the
Yeah.
best story I think I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
That is so great.
It was pretty.
Yeah.
In the moment, I was just like, "What?"
Yeah.
Right. You should write that down for
Please.
someday, you know, like when none of us can remember anything. You can read, you're like, this is what happened.
I know. I was working with Jaime. He worked with me for most of those days at the Mercury Parish, like in the middle years where it was really at its height. And then he came and worked with me at the North Door. And he always reminds me of all these crazy things that happened. That, you know. Oh, remember when you mixed blah blah blah? And I'm like, oh, I told him he has to write everything down for me so I can go back and write about it because
Yeah.
he remembers all of it because he's like 20 years older.
Yeah. No, you should chronicle these because
That's amazing.
for the people maybe also who are, if they're feeling less optimistic at some point, they'll be like, these things happen.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Sometimes you just don't know where the day is going to take you, you know,
Yeah.
especially during South by. Like,
Right.
things can happen quick.
that was one of the most surreal moments of my life. And it was so
Wow.
fun mixing one of my favorite songs on my favorite PA
It's like-
with my Midas.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming here today and telling us all these amazing stories. I've had so much fun.
Hello, my name is Alfredo Rios, aka Chido Machine. I'm a drummer percussionist and now experimental artist doing sound with objects. Here with me it's Fernando Mondragon and Ted Martinez. And thank you very much, guys, for collaborating with us, with me, in this crazy idea. And so, yes, I came with the idea of making a harp strap and with straps and PVC, some acrylic and repurposed wood. So yes, pretty much I'm glad to share this with you guys, and I'm glad to share this with my friends Fernando Mondragon and Ted Martinez. So please, guys, introduce yourselves and.
Yeah, I can go first. Thank you so much for having me. This is, like one of the first times for me playing, like kind of like a free range of percussions. It reminded me of several things. There's that Brazilian player I was mentioning earlier, but also this Japanese film, Kwaidan, from 1965. In like during the whole film, like it sounds very familiar, like just the nylon, it reminds me of that. And there's a story about in that film about a player of the biwa, which is a type of I don't know how to say in English, laúd. It's a type of short guitar with a short neck, and it speaks to me a lot because it's a type of instrument used for storytelling, and I think that's awesome. That's kind of the vibe that I got. We were telling a little bit about ourselves, so I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed the frequency. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us.
Yes,
it's pretty cool. I thought a similar thing with especially this string in the end. It's got a very plucky sound, kind of like a nylon string guitar, or like some sort of like Asian harp or guitar like instrument, I think. For me, it was like, thank you, brother. Like, it really is awesome to collaborate with you aside from the band.
Yeah.
And I kind of approached, like, because we're together in Easy Compadre, our band, but I don't play the strap harp. But I tried to approach it as like, okay, I'm doing a solo on my when I was by myself, but the second you started, bouncing that ball, it clicked, it triggered, like, okay, follow the beat, follow Alfredo, follow. So it was like a band setting, like I try to play it with you and harmonize with you and like make this our expression mode to get the party started. Although this is like experimental totally, but that's where you took me again, like my musician mind. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's super cool. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you guys like it. It was a nice vibe.
Yeah. By the way, I remember the name of the instrument is lute. Lute is the name of laúd in English.
Okay.
It's good. A lot of cultures here right now, learning a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very
right.
much. Hope you enjoy this. And if you want to jam with us, let us know.
Yeah.
We're going to keep it. And Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go.
Hello, my friend. Yesterday, I found myself in a neighborhood. I was with my lover and we were walking. We were walking past houses, yellow house, white house, blue house, and this is a neighborhood that we've walked through many times. It's a nice evening loop, sometimes a morning loop, and today, when we walked past the blue house, there was a man on the front porch smoking a cigarette, or maybe a spliff, and he stopped us, and he called for our attention and said, "Do we have a minute?" And it was really interesting to feel fear arise in me. What does this man want? Why is he stopping us? And he did have a friendly face, but he stopped us and asked if he could have a moment of our time. And we said yes, we obliged him, and he posed the question, what what is everyone so afraid of? And why can't we all just get along? He said he doesn't understand the hate. He spoke about gender, transgender individuals, and individuals who might be different than who he is, how he identifies, and folks who might sit outside the mainstream. And we carried on our conversation for about 5 to 7 minutes or so. And there were moments where I felt within myself the desire to pull away and pull within myself. But just being still in that moment and being present to his line of questioning was so powerful, because here this man was sitting on his front porch. His name is Michael, stopping two complete strangers just to ask, why can't we all get along, and what are we so afraid of? And here I am fearing what it is that he might want from me. And it was just a beautiful moment of connection and a powerful lesson in recognizing that there are all these invisible walls standing between myself and others who are looking to connect, other like-minded individuals who might look or sound completely different than I am, who just want to connect, who just want an ear for a moment, and who just want their reality confirmed, a reality of connectivity and oneness. And I just want to share that with you today. Hello, hello, my friend. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Last night, I had a bizarre dream. I was standing with my entire family on this balcony, and we weren't alone. There were a lot of folks I did not recognize standing on this balcony with us, and we were overlooking this large bakery. There was a cinnamon roll and what appears to be a kind of waffle or pancake, and they were enormous, like the size of a house. And so we're overlooking the cinnamon roll and this pancake waffle being baked before our eyes in real time, although now I realize I felt no heat. So this oven was not hot, and the waffle, pancake, and cinnamon roll, which were beside one another, seemed to be growing like fungi. And there was someone beyond the baked goods standing on the podium. There was a balcony, or a stage rather. It was more of a stage. So here we are, standing on a balcony, and there's an expanse. And in the expanse, these baked goods, which smell so good, steam rising from them, baking without heat. And on the other side of this expanse is another kind of balcony, but it's more of a stage, okay? And there's someone there, and they're calling out names, and they are welcoming those of us standing on the balcony into the fold. And when I hear my name called, I am overjoyed. I am rejoicing in the delight of knowing that I'm going to get to enjoy these baked goods with all these new friends and strangers who are all being initiated into some kind of club. And I am wondering in this moment how you feel when your name is called, or how good it feels to know that you're a part of a collective where something sweet is happening. Did you dream last night? Hello, hello, my friend. I am staring up at the moon. It is what appears to be a 3/4 moon. The clouds are moving over it slowly. It's so bright tonight. And I can't help but look up at the moon and wonder who else is looking up at the moon. On my street, in my neighborhood, in this city, in other states, in other places in the country, and in other places in the world. Staring at the moon from bedroom windows or kitchens or cars, moon roofs or sun roofs. And I think about the cosmos and what it means to hold a cosmic perspective and think about how united we are by the cosmos. And when I allow my mind and my eye to drift up to the moon and the stars and what lies beyond them, I can't help but think about all that falls away, all that becomes meaningless when I consider myself earthling. And that's what's on my mind tonight.
that cockroaches are, you know, one of the kind of grossest beings, perhaps what do they think of us? You know, because they actually get to explore in all spaces, and we are very limited in what we create to be ours.
And it was interesting. I liked it. I liked being a problem.
With words, with my posture, you know. And so I'm like this constant like when I get angry, I soften and I like.
When I'm angry, I do the same thing. Like I go really deep inside and I usually cry.
And I was like, I want to get mad, you know, like I want, but that's also an idea of a warrior that I'm wondering about with this cockroach character.
But I decided that what I do is better.
Yeah, I see you. I understand you. I used to be the bitey type.
Because
And
when
then
I'm going
I
internal
decided to
and like
step
really
back
looking at my
and
feelings and feeling those feelings, I'm tuning into myself versus, I don't know, kind of being defensive about what is coming at me. And then what's really nice about going that deep is that, you know, after I'm, you know, able to collect myself, there's like this calmness, and then I can approach whatever the thing is with calmness, and that is fucking powerful. So I've decided that softness is strong.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we won were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, they gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land and all the free and the home of the brave? Hey, hey, yeah.
If I were La Cucaracha, I would invert. See the world from every view, my feet grabbing the ceiling while my hair falls and traces the fear that tells you what you have is only yours. I would crawl, slow, sensing there are more orientations than one, your speed and spit giving you away. By the way, the ones you are killing when you try to stomp out your own crookedness with a rubber heel smelling of smoke, 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 they care. If it's comfort you're looking for, my spine is not yours to break. I'll keep my holy wings wrapped around my shine because simply you do not interest me when I am upside down swinging, looking at your fenced world with little more interest than my tia's penciled up eyebrow. But you, over there, waiting in the frame of a doorway, wondering how fluorescent lights and bleached desktops might make you thirsty for the nest of dust we've called home for so long. Press your arms into the edges of the steel frame and feel the coldness. You have a choice. You have choices. Keep pressing, pressing, pressing until your legs are shaking and you are ready to run and fly and fall. Or look for a space where dust is and return to us all. Body and the space. You might choose to attend to points far outside of this space, or how might you energize the space? And perhaps notice that with the altar items on our container, the perimeter of our container, we've begun to build a threshold and resistance. What or who can't you forget that might not share our physical plane? Acknowledge the unseen. Where are the postures of gratitude that you need to simultaneously hear and offer? What can't you, who can't you forget? And staying unafraid to bleed over into the next progression of our practice. Resolve this orientation broth, hot, nourishing, in the sense that all of the ingredients are already here.
Pain is a friend.
The energetic needs of your body and the space. Continuing with that thread, that nonlinear receiving and giving. Starting to widen your periphery. To take in the other bodies in the space. Acknowledge the unseen. What and who are knocking at your door every day, today, tomorrow?
Thank you.